Welcome back, Ancient Odyssey fans. Buckle up, because we're diving into the wild world of ancient eats. Imagine chowing down on food so bizarre, they'd make your stomach flip. From smelly sauces to bug-based snacks, the ancient world was full of dishes that sound like they came from a sci-fi flick. So, why did our ancestors eat this stuff? Let's find out. Back in the day, food wasn't just about taste. It was about survival, culture, and even status. Ancient folks didn't have supermarkets, so they got creative with what was around, from fish guts to buried shark meat. These foods shaped empires and sparked traditions, some of which still linger today. Plus, with modern trends like eating crickets for sustainability, maybe our ancestors were onto something. In this episode, we'll count down the top 10 strangest foods from ancient civilizations, from the gross to the glamorous. You'll be shocked, maybe a little grossed out, but definitely amazed at how these dishes define the past. So grab a snack, hopefully not fermented fish, and let's take a tasty trip back in time. What's the weirdest thing you'd try? Drop it in the comments, and let's get started. First up on our top 10 strange foods list is garum, the smelly, fishy sauce that was Rome's go-to condiment. Think of it as their version of hot sauce or barbecue sauce, but way funkier. This stuff was so popular, it was like the ketchup of the ancient world, slathered on everything from bread to meat. But here's the kicker. Garum was made from fermented fish guts. Yeah, you heard that right. So, how did Romans make this stinky superstar? They'd take fish, think anchovies or mackerel, mix in salt, and let it sit in the sun for weeks, sometimes months, until it turned into a pungent, salty liquid. The smell. Imagine a fish market on a hot summer day. Yet, Romans couldn't get enough. From street vendors to fancy emperors' feasts, garum was a must-have. They even had different grades. Cheap stuff for the masses and premium blends for the elite, like a high-end craft sauce you'd find at a supermarket. Why was garum such a big deal? It added a savory, umami kick to dishes, long before anyone knew what umami was. Plus, it was a trade empire's MVP, shipped across the Mediterranean in clay jars, making merchants rich. Some Romans even used it as medicine or a breath freshener. Talk about bold. Today, garum's legacy lives on in sauces like Worcestershire sauce or Southeast Asian fish sauce, which share its funky DNA. Would you dare try a spoonful of this ancient Roman obsession? It's a far cry from your favorite buffalo wings, but it shows how far people went for flavor back then. Stick around as we dive into more bizarre eats from the past. Next up, a mysterious herb worth more than gold. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Garum, yay or nay? Hey, Ancient Odyssey fans. Next up on our list of strange ancient foods is Silphium, a mysterious herb from ancient Greece that was literally worth more than gold. Imagine a spice so rare and pricey it could buy you a fancy car today. Except this one came from a plant we can't even find anymore. Let's unpack the wild story of Silphium. Grown in the ancient city of Cyrene, modern-day Libya, Silphium was a superstar in Greek and Roman kitchens. This leafy herb, with its heart-shaped seeds, was sprinkled on dishes like a magic flavor bomb, adding a zesty, garlicky kick to soups and meats. But Silphium wasn't just about taste. It was a status symbol. Only the rich could afford it, and they flaunted it like a designer bag. Traders shipped it across the Mediterranean, and it even appeared on Cyrene's coins. Here's the wild part. Silphium was also used as medicine and, get this, a love potion. Romans thought it could cure fevers, soothe stomachs, and even act as an ancient version of birth control. No wonder it was so valuable. But by the 1st century AD, Silphium vanished. Over-harvested and impossible to farm, the plant went extinct, leaving us with just stories and sketches. Some say it was related to fennel or asafoetida, but we'll never know its exact flavor. Why is this herb so fascinating? It shows how one plant could shape an economy and spark obsession, like our love for rare truffles or avocado toast trends today. Would you pay a fortune for a pinch of Silphium at a fancy restaurant? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Next, we'll explore a sweet Egyptian treat that's fit for a pharaoh. Stay tuned for more weird eats from the ancient world. Welcome back, Ancient Odyssey fans. Our top 10 strange foods journey takes us to ancient Egypt for a treat fit for a pharaoh, tiger nut sweets. Nope, these aren't nuts from a tiger. They're tiny, sweet tubers that were the candy bars of the Nile. Imagine a dessert so good that Cleopatra herself might have snacked on it. Let's dig into this ancient superfood. Tiger nuts, also called chufa, are small, chewy roots packed with nutty, sweet flavor. Ancient Egyptians loved them, munching them raw, grinding them into flour, or mixing them with honey and dates to make bite-sized sweets. These treats were a big deal. Found in tombs as offerings for the afterlife, they were like the ultimate snack to take to the great beyond. Pharaohs and everyday folks alike enjoyed them, kind of like how we grab candy bars today. Why were tiger nuts so popular? They were easy to grow along the Nile, super nutritious, and naturally sweet. No sugar needed. Egyptians even used them in medicines and drinks, believing they boosted energy and health. Think of them as an ancient version of those trendy superfood snacks you see at health food stores. Archaeologists have found tiger nut traces in ancient pots, proving they were a kitchen staple for centuries. Here's the cool part. Tiger nuts are making a comeback. You can find them in modern health food aisles, blended into smoothies or baked into gluten-free goodies. They're like the chips of ancient Egypt. Would you try these Pharaoh-approved sweets at your next movie night? Let us know in the comments. Next up, we're diving into a bitter drink that doubled as money in the ancient world. Stick with us for more wild eats from history. Hey, Ancient Odyssey fans, get ready for a tasty stop on our top 10 strange foods list. Chocolate, the Aztecs' liquid gold. Forget your hot cocoa. This wasn't the sweet treat we know today. In ancient Mesoamerica, chocolate was a bitter, frothy drink so valuable it was used as money. Let's sip into this delicious history. The Aztecs made chocolate from cocoa beans, which they ground into a paste, mixed with water, and spiced up with chili peppers or vanilla. No sugar here, just a bold, bitter brew served cold or frothy, often in fancy cups for nobles and priests. They called it Xocolatl, meaning bitter water. And it was a big deal, drunk during rituals or given as gifts to warriors. Cocoa beans were so precious that you could buy a turkey or even pay taxes with them. Imagine paying for groceries with chocolate chips. Why was chocolate such a hit? It was a status symbol, like sipping a $20 latte today, but with sacred vibes. The Aztecs believed cocoa was a gift from the gods, boosting energy and even acting as an aphrodisiac. Farmers worked hard to grow cocoa in tropical lands, and it was traded across empires, making it a currency and a delicacy. When Europeans arrived, they went wild for it, eventually sweetening it into the chocolate we love. This ancient drink shows how something we take for granted was once pure luxury. Ever tried unsweetened cocoa? That's the Aztec vibe. Next time you grab a chocolate bar, think of those spicy, sacred sips. Would you trade your candy for a frothy Xocolatl mug? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Next, we're diving into a bizarre soup made from bird spit. Yep, you heard that right. Stay tuned for more wild ancient eats. Welcome back, Ancient Odyssey fans. Our top 10 strange foods journey takes us to ancient China for a dish that's as fancy as it is freaky. Bird's nest soup. This isn't your grandma's chicken noodle soup. It's made from actual bird spit, and it was so prized that only emperors and elites could afford it. Ready for a taste of this bizarre delicacy? Let's dive in. Bird's nest soup comes from the nests of swiftlet birds, found in Southeast Asian caves. These tiny birds build nests using their saliva, which hardens into a gelatinous cup. Ancient Chinese chefs harvested these nests, soaked them in water, and simmered them into a luxurious soup with a texture like silky pudding. The flavor? Mild, but the status was huge. Think of it as the caviar of ancient China, served at imperial banquets to show off wealth and power. Why was this spit soup such a big deal? Ancient Chinese believed it boosted health, improved skin, and even extended life, kind of like a superfood smoothie for emperors. Harvesting nests was dangerous work, with collectors scaling cliffs to snag them, making the dish insanely expensive. It was a symbol of luxury, traded along the Silk Road, and reserved for royalty or special occasions. Believe it or not, this delicacy is still eaten today, costing hundreds of dollars per bowl in fancy restaurants. Would you try a spoonful of this emperor's treat, or stick to your ramen? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Next, we're headed to ancient Rome for a snack that's small, furry, and totally bizarre. Stay tuned for more strange eats from the ancient world. Hey, Ancient Odyssey fans! Our top 10 strange foods list is getting wilder, and next, we're heading to ancient Rome for a snack that'll make you squirm. Roasted dormice. Yep, the Romans loved munching on these tiny mouse-like critters at their fancy parties. Think of them as the chicken wings of ancient Rome, but way creepier. Let's dive into this bizarre delicacy. Dormice, cute furry rodents, were a gourmet treat in ancient Rome. The wealthy raised them in special clay jars called gleraria, fattening them up with nuts and grains like little Roman livestock. When it was party time, Chefs roasted or stuffed the dormice with herbs, honey, or spices, serving them as bite-sized appetizers at lavish banquets. Picture a Roman noble popping one in their mouth, like we'd munch on chicken wings at a Super Bowl party. Why dormice? They were easy to farm, and their rich, gamey flavor made them a status symbol for the elite, kind of like serving lobster or filet mignon today. Romans even had recipes for dormice dipped in honey or rolled in poppy seeds, making them a crunchy, sweet, and savory snack. Historical records, like those from the Roman writer Petronius, describe them as a must-have at high society feasts. For Americans, eating dormice probably sounds like something out of a survival reality show, but it shows how far Romans went for a good party. Their love for exotic foods mirrors our own foodie trends, like trying bison burgers or alligator bites. Would you nibble on a roasted dormouse at a toga party, or stick to chips and dip? Let us know in the comments. Next, we're tackling a Viking dish that's smellier than a gym locker. Stay tuned for more weird eats from the ancient world. Our top 10 strange foods list is getting wilder, and next, we're sailing to the Viking world for a dish that's not for the faint-hearted. Fermented shark, or Hákarl. This Viking delicacy smells worse than a gym bag left in the sun, but it was a survival staple for these Norse warriors. Ready to hold your nose? Let's dive in. In ancient Scandinavia, Vikings didn't have fridges, so they got creative to preserve food. To make Hákarl, they'd catch Greenland sharks, bury the meat in gravelly pits for weeks to ferment, then hang it to dry for months. The result? A pungent, chewy treat with a stench so strong it could clear a room. Vikings ate it to survive harsh winters, chewing it like meat or pairing it with a shot of strong liquor to mask the ammonia-like smell. Why eat something so funky? Sharks were plentiful in icy waters, and fermenting removed toxins, making the meat edible. It was a practical food for seafaring Vikings, fueling raids and long voyages. Think of it as their version of beef jerky or protein bars, but with a smell that would make your eyes water. Viking sagas and archaeological finds confirm Hákarl was a go-to for tough times. For Americans, this dish probably sounds like a dare on a reality show, but it's still eaten in Iceland today, often as a test of bravery for tourists. It's like trying the spiciest hot wings, only smellier. Hákarl shows how Vikings turned survival into a culinary art. Would you take a bite of this stinky shark, or stick to your barbecue ribs? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Next, we're crunching on a bug-based snack from ancient Mesoamerica. Stay tuned for more wild eats from history. Our top 10 strange foods list is buzzing with excitement as we hop to ancient Mesoamerica for a crunchy treat. Sautéed grasshoppers. Yep, the Aztecs and other cultures were munching on bugs long before they hit trendy food trucks. These protein-packed critters were the ancient world's answer to a power snack. Let's crunch into this wild delicacy. In ancient Mexico, grasshoppers, or chapulines, were harvested in fields, then toasted or sautéed with spices like chili or lime. They were a staple for everyone, from farmers to nobles, served as a snack, tossed in tacos, or ground into sauces. Think of them as the popcorn of the Aztec world, light, crispy, and perfect for on-the-go eating. Archaeological finds, like market records, show grasshoppers were sold in huge quantities, making them a foodie favorite. Why bugs? Grasshoppers were everywhere, easy to catch, and loaded with protein, perfect for fueling warriors or workers building massive pyramids. They were sustainable, too, needing way less land than cattle, which makes them sound like the original eco-friendly snack. The Aztecs even offered them to gods during rituals, giving these critters a sacred edge. For Americans, eating grasshoppers might seem like a stunt from a food challenge show, but they're making a comeback. You can find chapulines at hip restaurants or health food stores, touted as a green alternative to beef jerky. They're nutty, spicy, and honestly, not that different from shrimp. Would you swap your potato chips for a handful of sautéed grasshoppers? Let us know in the comments. Next, we're heading to ancient Greece for a drink that's wilder than any energy drink. Stay tuned for more bizarre eats from the ancient world. Hey, Ancient Odyssey fans! Our top 10 strange foods list is taking a trippy turn as we head to ancient Greece for Kykeon, a mysterious drink that was part barley brew, part mystical potion. Forget your energy drinks or beers. This ancient concoction was the Greeks' go-to for wild rituals and mind-bending vibes. Kykeon was a mix of barley, water, herbs, and sometimes cheese or honey, often served during the Eleusinian Mysteries, a top-secret religious festival. Think of it as the ancient equivalent of an energy drink for spiritual quests. Some historians believe it contains psychoactive ingredients, like ergot, making drinkers see visions or feel euphoric. Ancient texts, like those from Homer, describe Kykeon as a sacred drink that refreshed warriors and worshippers alike. Why was Kykeon such a big deal? It wasn't just a beverage, it was a ticket to divine experiences. Greeks drank it to connect with gods like Demeter during secretive ceremonies that drew thousands. The recipe varied, but it was cheap to make, using common grains and herbs, so everyone from priests to peasants could partake. Its trippy effects made it legendary, kind of like a music festival drink that's part smoothie, part magic. Kykeon shows how the Greeks blended food, faith, and mind-altering practices, way before modern party culture. Would you try a sip of this ancient brew, or stick to your iced coffee? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Next, we're wrapping up with a Spartan stew that fueled warriors. Stay tuned for the final strange eat from the ancient world. Hey, Ancient Odyssey fans! We're wrapping up our top 10 strange foods list with a dish that fueled the toughest warriors in history: black broth, the Spartans' go-to gruel. This isn't your cozy bowl of oatmeal. It's a dark, bloody stew that powered the legendary warriors of Sparta. Think of it as the protein shake of ancient Greece, but way grittier. Let's dig into this legendary meal. Black broth, or melas zomos, was a simple mix of pork, vinegar, salt, and pig's blood, simmered into a thick, dark soup. Spartans, known for their no-nonsense lifestyle, ate it to stay strong during brutal training in battles like Thermopylae. Ancient writers, like the historian Plutarch, say it was so plain that outsiders gagged at the taste, but Spartans loved it. It was cheap, filling, and packed with iron, perfect for warriors who valued toughness over flavor. Why was black broth a big deal? It was the backbone of Sparta's mess halls, where soldiers bonded over shared meals. Think of it like a military MRE, but cooked in a cauldron over a fire. The blood gave it a rich, savory kick, and the vinegar added tang, kind of like a super intense barbecue sauce. It symbolized Spartan grit. Even today, similar blood-based dishes like black pudding pop up in European cuisines. For Americans, black broth might sound like a survivalist's camping meal or something from a zombie flick, but it shows how Spartans turned basic ingredients into warrior fuel. Would you slurp this bloody stew to channel your inner Leonidas, or stick to your burgers? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Next, we'll wrap up with what these wild foods teach us about the ancient world. Stay tuned for the big finale. In conclusion, some of these dishes might sound like they belong on a dare, but they tell us so much about how our ancestors lived, thrived, and got creative with what they had. So, what can we learn from these wild eats? First, ancient foods show how clever people were. No grocery stores? No problem. They turned fish guts into garum, bird spit into soup, and bugs into snacks. Talk about making lemonade out of lemons. These dishes weren't just food. They were survival tools, status symbols, and even sacred offerings. Like how we hype up avocado toast or smoothies today, ancients turned simple ingredients into cultural icons. It's a reminder that food is more than fuel. It's a story of who we are. Second, these eats connect us to the past. Ever notice how fish sauce is still in Thai food, or chocolate is a global obsession? Ancient flavors live on in our kitchens, linking us to empires long gone. Plus, with trends like eating insects for sustainability, we're circling back to their genius. Maybe grasshoppers are the next big thing at your local Whole Foods. Finally, these foods challenge us to be adventurous. Would you try a sip of trippy Kykeon or a bite of roasted dormice? Exploring ancient diets is like a time travel food tour. It pushes us to rethink what's normal. So, next time you're grilling burgers or sipping a latte, think about the wild meals that shaped history. Which ancient food would you taste? Drop it in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for more epic adventures on Ancient Odyssey.